Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Expansive CEO Podcast. I'm Hannah, and Lauren is here too.
Hi.
And today we are talking about revisiting what we're now calling, we've changed the name. It's the Regenerative Wealth Program. It formerly has been called the Expansive CEO Program, but that's not super descriptive. So we're shifting it, but it's the same program, the Regenerative Wealth Program, and we're talking about the discovery, alignment, expansion process that is the foundation of the entire program. Last week, we talked all about discovery. So if you haven't heard that yet, you can go back to last week's episode, the one right before this, and listen all about what discovery really entails and what it means and how important it is. Um, and today, we're going to talk about alignment and what that means in the context of this process that we go through. Because alignment means what alignment means, but in other programs or other coaches or other whatever, like it just means something different. So we're going to talk about what that really truly means in the context of the Regenerative Wealth Program and how we go through that with the live cohort that will be starting here at the end of April. So if you're listening to this and it feels like what you need for your business and for your life, we have time. We would love to talk to you about it. Go ahead and click any of the links below to learn more about the program. And you can also schedule a time to talk about it with one of us so we can tell you more about the program. Lauren,
Yes.
alignment. We're talking about alignment.
One of my faves, right? So last week we did a really thorough rundown of discovery and what we uncover and what we unearth, and recognizing that, yes, some of it may be a little uncomfortable. But that's part of the process, is that what we don't face, we can't change. So we create a space for you to look at it, face it, and move towards changing it. And that's what alignment is all about, is looking at the three buckets of energy, time, and money, and recognizing, hey, during the discovery process, what did you unearth? What did you uncover? During the alignment process, how do we take those three buckets and what's a synonym for align? Bring them to what works best for you based on what we learned in discovery, what truly is your optimal operating system, and then creating structures in alignment. Having a little bit of awareness, they may change as you continue to work into things, but creating the structure and the foundation within alignment so that your time, energy, and money is used in a way that really works for you, versus just, throwing something against the wall and hoping that it sticks. And then if it doesn't, be like, okay, I don't know what to do now.
Right. Right. And with the alignment piece as well, it's really really critical, really important also to have, learned about your human design, about your gene keys, not to the point where you need to like study it for a year before you can do this program. That is absolutely not the case. You could be brand new to human design and gene keys, and it's going to be fine because you're going to actually in this process not just learn about what's your type, what's your authority, what's your not self, where are the ways you've been acting and moving against your own energy for probably your whole life, having been conditioned by other people, right? You're going to learn those key parts, and then through the process of this program, you will actually be exercising them. We'll be discovering even more and practicing those things and giving you the tangible tools to actually be able to make some different choices or try some different things, or hey, this is how you're designed. What if you try this? What if you try things this way? What if you think about something that way, right? Like we'll be able to actually guide you even more specifically into what's right for you and your business and your personal finances along with that information. Because if, someone who is a projector in the program is going to have a very different, um, they're going to have a different experience. They're going to have a different, they're going to come away with different information than someone who's a generator, someone who's a manifestor or a reflector. Um, so it's really important also that as we're aligning your time and your money to your highest energy, that we are taking into account who you are as
Mhm,
well and helping you practice be being you uh,
mhm.
even more fully.
Yeah. And, when it comes to human design, because that's my area of expertise, not necessarily Gene Keys, but, you know, I, a lot of people, when they get into it, want to be like, well, tell me how to be me. Like, tell me who I am and who I'm supposed to be. And generators, yes, we all like gravitate towards that because we're the ones who's like, I need to know who I am. The way that we approach it, the way that we approach it is helping you understand more so who you're not or who you're not designed to be. Because oftentimes that's the biggest needle mover is recognizing when you're getting in your own way. And how I like to call it, in the world of human design, we call it the not self. Sometimes I call it your borrowed frequency because what you're doing is you're borrowing this frequency from the centers or channels in your chart that are white because you think that's who you need to be. And that's who your mind convinces you, oh, you need to go find that in order to be that, because that is what's going to get you. It's going to take you away from who you are. So that's what we really work on too. And to me, that's sometimes the most fascinating because it's almost an easier shift. Rather than try to step into who you are, being like, here's how my energy is designed, let me go do that. Sometimes it's easier to look from the lens of, well, let's just not be who you're not supposed to be. Right? Let's look at how the energy that is being amplified in your aura actually takes you away or distracts you from how your energy is designed to be used. And sometimes that's I don't want to say easier play, maybe simpler play.
Well, y- say the Paulo Coelho quote that you love so much.
Oh, oh God, you're gonna put me on the spot. Sometimes the journey isn't about becoming who you are. It's more about unbecoming all of the things that weren't you in the first place so you can be who you're here to be. Something along those lines.
Yes, exactly. And as the image that always comes to mind for me is that it's like taking off armor. It's like you've armored yourself for your whole life. And even in a human design perspective, like if you look at your chart, you go grab your chart. So pause if you need to, go grab your chart, take a look at it, see on your chart where all your white spaces are. Um, and it's like we put on armor over those places to protect. And so that we're like we don't want to feel hurt by or like we're in a deficit or because we've been told we should think this way, we should be able to do this, we should make decisions this way, we should um prove ourselves in whatever way. And so we literally, oh god, I use that word too much. We emotionally, spiritually, intuitively put on armor over those places of ourselves um in order to protect. So, and that's a big piece of it too, is that you you haven't done anything wrong.
No,
You,
God,
you're
no.
not you're not a bad person for any you've been doing things against your design for 30, 40, 50 years. That doesn't make you bad or wrong in any way at all. It's just something that you've done to protect yourself. And so a huge piece of alignment is, again, discovering first what those things are. Alignment is, hey, let's take that off. What happens if we let that go? And that was another thing that came to mind as you were talking too, is that it really is easier and more effective for most people to let go of something that they've been clinging to rather than be like, again, the image that comes to mind for me is it's like you've got like all these rocks and you're trying to hold all these boulders and we're like, okay, well go be this other thing. And you're like, okay, hold on, I've got these boulders. Let me like pick up this other one without dropping on my other rocks. We can't do that. We can't do
Yep.
that.
Yep.
It's like, can you let go? Just drop all the other rocks so that you can actually be free to move and be free to, like, that's how to be you,
Yes.
right? Like, what if you drop the rocks?
Right. And you don't have to put them down nicely. Just
Yeah,
let them go.
right, right. Yeah, there might be some rocks that feel more precious or scary to like, okay.
Especially even if you have an undefined splenic center, it's going to be hard to let go.
Yes, exactly, exactly. That's the splenic center. Again, look at your chart. It's the triangle on the left side of the chart. If that one is undefined, especially, where have you been holding on to things that are no longer good for you? That is the question. That is the question of the undefined spleen. Um, so with that, yeah, alignment is this process of letting go. A lot of letting go.
Mhm.
Um, and again, very practical, things of like, what are you spending your time on? What are you spending your money on or not? Time. What are you spending your time on or not spending your time on? What are you spending your money on or not spending your money on? And those, when we really get clear on those two things, then we can really see what supports your energy the best. Because that in the scope of alignment, what we are trying to do is we are we recognize that your energy is actually your most precious resource. Your energy. So some people say your time, your attention, right? Like those things come into play, but what does that really mean? It still is filtering to how you are using your energy. So if we put that at the top of the pyramid and we say that this is your most precious resource, we need to align how you utilize your time and how you utilize your money so that you can be in your brightest, most expansive energy as often as possible. Doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. No, none of us are.
No.
I had a business coach once, excuse me, tell me that it was actually not, like, not in integrity for me to be, the one like always having to do the dishes and clean up all the stuff. And like, I mean, I agree with that. I'm not going to lie. I would love for someone else to be able to do that, but not that I do them all the time. Um, but, part of hiring a housekeeper every couple of weeks, right? That's in alignment with like, yeah, I should not be spending all of my time cleaning all the time or spending my entire weekend, right? Like working all week and then feeling exhausted on the weekend because I've had to clean my whole house when I have the resources to hire a housekeeper a couple of times a month. Right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Like, it's a good example of time and money. With that, but I wanted to start again with energy because that's where we start in the workbook, in the program, and it's all about questions. It's all, like, this is really, there's a lot of reflection and a lot of contemplation and a lot of like data. We need the data too, right? All of these things together. So I'm actually going to look. I'm going to go back into the Expansive CEO workbook, which we probably should call the
Reg-
Regenerative Wealth workbook. We're just going to change everything. We're rebranding on the fly.
Listener, you're along the journey with us. Go.
So when we talk about that, uh, after we've really dug into discovery, we see what your big vision is, why you want to achieve it, why you want to make the impact you want to make, where you're starting from. Then we're going to align. Again, we talked about this last time. Okay, we found out you want to go to Portland, Maine, and we found out that you're starting from Denver, Colorado. Okay, so now we have the map set, and now we can take the alignment section and figure out how you're going to get there,
Mhm.
right? We can take lots of routes. You can get from Denver to Portland in all kinds of different ways. You could take an airplane, you could drive the car, you could take a scenic route, you could take a direct route, you could take the Amtrak and have it take 14 days. I mean, there's all kinds of ways. You could hitchhike. There are a lot of ways. You could ride your bike. Those people who do like the ultra biking.
Yep.
So many ways you can get from Denver to Portland. We are then going to, and I'm gonna say this too. There's not necessarily a right or wrong way. There's no judgment on what the right way for you to get there is. If there's a reason where you're like, you know what? I need to cycle from Denver to Portland. All right. How do we align your time and money to support that energy?
Yep.
If you're like, nope, I only fly private and it's gonna take me an hour and a half to get there. All right. How do we align your time and your money to get you there? So again, going back to the design, in some ways, right? Like that's all of it. They're all puzzle pieces together, so that we can help you align in the way that's correct for you, not in the way that's correct for me or Lauren or anyone else.
Yes.
So with the energy questions, and we're not going to go through all of them, but I want to um, just highlight like one question from each section, and the one from the energy is, I know I've done a job spectacularly when fill in the blank. So how do you know when you've done a job to the best of your ability? And when we put that into human design terms, I'm a generator. I'm a manifesting generator. Lauren's a generator. For both of us, that signature is satisfaction. If you are a projector, that signature is success. If you are a manifester, that signature is peace. If you are a reflector, that signature is surprise. We talked about this before too. It's like, I like to call it like surprise and delight because it's not like
Oh,
surprise, like you're terrified.
right. It's a happy surprise. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, it's
That's
like happy
coming.
surprise. Happy surprise. It's not like you open the toilet and there's a spider. Which is not a happy surprise. So happy surprise. But from the generator standpoint, I'm gonna tell my story, which is not related to business whatsoever, which is one of the ways like, oh, this is true in my body.
Yes.
And then Lauren, if you have one, I would love for you to share too. I maybe have shared this on the podcast before, so I'll just do a really shortened version. When I was in middle school, I played softball for about 10 years from the time I was 5, T-ball to 15. Fast pitch. I played on club teams. I played through my freshman year of high school and I tore my quad. It was not good. So I stopped playing after that. But when I was in middle school, I was on a club team and we had a game that was heart wrenching, really. Um, and my team everyone was playing full out. I was shortstop. Um, and I made some of the best plays of my life. I still remember them. I could still close my eyes and see in slow-mo the play as it happened. And it was just, I was so proud of myself. And there wasn't just that moment. There were quite a few during the game where I knew I put literally everything I could out there. And the other girls on the team did the exact same. Pitcher did such a good, everyone just was giving their full heart and their full effort. And we still lost. We got to the last inning. I can't remember if there were overtime innings or not, or extra innings rather. Um, but we lost at the very end by 1. And, coming off the field, I couldn't there were a couple of the girls were really sad and they were crying. I was so happy. I felt so good about the way, one, that I used my energy, and I put it all out there and I did the absolute best I could. And I saw how everyone else, so I was kind of in the role, I was giving hugs to everyone else. I'm like, you did so good. It was so amazing, and you're like, oh my God. Right. But and some of the other adults around me were kind of pissed, and it was
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
right, like adults in kids sports, come on, do better. Talking to my from childhood. Anyway, but even with other people being upset about it, I was like, I feel so good about the effort that I put in. And even though the outcome wasn't a win, one of those heartbreakers, I couldn't find it in me to be heartbroken or sad. I was full. Like my energy was just like, man, I couldn't have done anything else. That satisfaction. So that imprint of satisfaction for me is like the most visceral body memory of what it feels like to be satisfied no matter what the outcome.
Yes.
So I would love to hear like your take on that, Lauren, if you have a similar or a story that also feels like satisfaction for you.
Oh, for sure. And this is the like quintessential point of human design specifically. It's like when you look at all of those signatures for generators, it's satisfaction, not about the result, but about how you use your energy. For a projector, it's success, not with the outcome, with a connection that you had with another person to direct their energy. For a manifestor, it's peace, not about the impact or the initiation, but you being able to just spark something because it was correct for you and allow other people to do whatever they need to do with that inspiration and spark. And then with a reflector of surprise, not at what happened, but more of like, oh, I can see that now. I see what's going on. It's because I'm sampling the energy that I'm not identifying with it. I'm simply just moving in and out of it and surprised by what happens. So when I say it's quintessential, no type is about result, but that's what we all get hung up on. And we all get hung up on it in every aspect of life, and particularly in business. And this is where you kind of have to play in both worlds and suspend a little bit of leaf and let go a little bit, but also be a part of life, right? Is that as a business owner, obviously you want results, right? You have to make money. You have to be able to sustain yourself if this is your chosen path. But it's recognizing that the use of your energy isn't about the result. It's about whatever is tied to your type. And for as a generator, that satisfaction, it truly is satisfaction in how you use your energy productively. And mine is very similar. And legitimately, it hadn't dawned on me until literally this moment. I use the word literally too, and I don't really care. It was this moment of I was a swimmer. For that's the only sport I did. And fun fact, that actually works for my design. So all of the adults out there who say that, your child can't be in one sport or they'll burn out. Well, I say, fuck you. That's not how that works, right? My design is very logical. I'm supposed to repeat patterns and patterns and patterns and patterns and patterns until I perfect the pattern and I move on, right? So it works for me. Now, my son, on the other hand, should not be playing the same sport, right? And I recognize about him, and he's played every sport on the planet. Sidebar, sorry, just adults and kids sports, just needed to get that one in there.
Good one.
But being a swimmer, I enjoyed practice so much more. It was just a playground of like, let's just see what's possible today. Like, do I try swimming faster at the beginning of a set? And if you don't understand this, I'm sorry, but like, I'm not going to get into the details of how swimming works, but like, do I try faster in the beginning? Do I try swimming harder in the middle? Do I try at the end? Like playing around with just all of these different tactics. I can't tell you, like, I would get out of a practice and I would swim anywhere from 10,000 to 11,000 yards in a practice in 2.5 hours, which is a shit ton of swimming.
Yeah.
It's a shit ton of swimming. And it would be the point of like, I would be just like so physically exhausted, like couldn't lift my shoulders above, parallel. And it was just like, oh, just walk around like this and, couldn't wash my hair. And it was just like, okay, just got to put my head back in the shower. I never felt so satisfied in my entire life of just being able to give my energy to this thing that I loved, that I was enthusiastic about. And it didn't matter if, okay, that's not fair. some days, because I was so tired of the result, it mattered what happened. But on the days where it was just like I went in there trying to have fun and just like, let's see what's possible today. It was the greatest feeling on the planet. And just this, like, for a generator, it's this weird mix of exhaustion because you've used your energy, but this just like elation of like, oh, I just put my energy towards something that just feels so good. You know, it may hurt, it may be painful, but man, it is one of the best feelings I think as a generator that you can experience.
Mhm. Ooh, another one just came up for me too about hiking. And I love hiking. I love that you get to see places that you can't get to any other way than I mean, I guess some places you could mountain bike, right? But you gotta get there manually. You gotta walk. You gotta use your footies somehow. My husband and I had traveled to New Zealand. It's the biggest trip we've ever taken, and it was amazing. A part of our, vacation was a couple of multi-day hikes, and when we get well, this applies to a lot of other hikes too, because it all gets to my favorite part. I love being there. I love seeing things that you could never see any other way. Hard, right? Like, especially, when you're walking up something for miles, like, thighs are burning, you gotta take a break every once in a while, like, "This hurts." But then when you get there and you get to there's this one, again, super visceral moment there too. Um, but one that I will never ever forget was one hike up to Mount Cook, or Ale Rocky, as, it's called in native, New Zealander, and we're walking up and up and up and up, and we get to this point called the saddle. And so if you've ever done any like mountain hiking, the saddle is usually where there's like kind of a low point before the next peak. But it usually takes, you gotta go straight up to get to that saddle. And you can't see anything beyond the saddle as you're going up usually. And so we're up, up, up going, and it's like tough. And we're getting there and we're both getting pretty tired, and we get up to this saddle, we get to the top of it, and just when you stepped foot on the saddle, finally, you crest this point, and in front of us was this huge wall of mountain full of glaciers and glacial waterfalls. And it was like my heart was like there's a picture of me. I am just beaming. My face, I couldn't smile any bigger. My face hurt. Because again, it was like the satisfaction of having used like it was hard. It was not easy to get up there, but it was still fun. Um, Sometimes not fun, right? It's everything. It's like all the things together.
Yep.
Then to get to this view of like I had no idea that that view was what was going to meet me as I stepped over the top of that crest, and I was in awe, literally in awe. And then we spent the night up there, that was super cool, and then we hiked down the next day, and the other best part of hiking, of having used all your energy, and you're like towards the end, you're, like, getting a little loopy, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, I'm so tired." You get somewhere, you get to a restaurant, they have the biggest plate of french fries and a hamburger, and it's the best thing that you've ever had, maybe a beer.
Mhm.
You're like, "Oh my god, it feels so good." To, like, stuff my face after I've just walked, however many miles, it's usually a lot, and really fully use my energy. Again, like, those aspects when we're talking very physical things, clearly, but those emotional imprints are what help me understand, what does that mean? What is satisfaction? What does that actually mean?
And what does it mean in the context of not caring about the results?
Mhm.
Right? Because oftentimes I think we get so caught up in that, and that's part of the design too. The general human experience design is that if I do X, then I get Y. And it's like, no, the motivation isn't I do and I get. The motivation is more tied to what is my energy here to do? And to really root through. And that's why when we talk about these things, and even in the program, it's not like not every example has to be tied to a business, right? We want you, again, like we've talked about before, expand the definition of the words we use. And in this instance, expand the context or the experiences that you had that allow you the opportunity to kind of root through what satisfaction or success or peace or surprise really mean for you, and to find examples where it exists regardless of what actually came from it. And what's really, really interesting is if you and I were to sit here and root through some of the experiences that we've had that were super satisfactory. um,
Satisfying.
yeah, satisfying. Thank you. Um, we will also find results that are unbelievable that we never saw coming because we were more focused on the process and the journey and the let me just be in this moment right here, right now, and then come out of it and be like, oh, holy, holy shit, that happened. That was amazing. And I will say that as a generator now, looking back in my life, the moments that I am so tied or have been so tied to results, I don't even come close to meeting them because it's so I can feel some of the visceral emotional uh memories of those instances as well. And sometimes until I started my own deconditioning process, those are the ones I remembered
Yeah.
until I started to really think about, oh no, I know what it's like to feel really satisfied without having anything of true quote unquote meaning or significance happen because of it. I mean, another example specifically for me would be we used to do, again, this is a swimming thing. We used to do something called a 3,000 per time that you swam 3,000 yards just continuously, count of your own laps and everything so that you could, God, people are gonna be like, what the hell is she talking about? So you had a specific pace and then you set that pace and then you use that pace in future practices. I know this doesn't make any bit of sense for those who are non-swimmers, but there were times where I would have a faster pace than some of the guys. And I don't mean that in like, oh my God, look at me. I simply mean I never thought about it. It was just like, oh my God, I get to do a 3,000 for time. Yes, please. Being an endurance athlete, it was like, yes, the longer that you can allow me to go and just do something. Oh my God, please. Please. For me to swim a 50, I'd be like, oh my God, can you please fuck off? Because it's like a 50 was harder for me to swim than a 3,000. So 2 laps versus, can't do the math right now, 120 laps. You know, that was more satisfactory to me. And because I never worried about what the hell my pace was going to be, it was just like, no, I get to swim 3,000 yards in one setting and just go and be by myself in my own thoughts and just swim and swim and swim. And nobody gets to tell me what I can and cannot do while I do it. Yes, please. And then I would have paces that, like, in my mind, I was like, holy shit, how did I do that? I did it because I didn't care. I did it because it was more about swimming than it was the outcome or what I was going to have to hold later in another practice. It was like, no, I just get to do me in my own lane. This is fun. This is a fun use of energy.
Well, and that one brings me like straight back to even, some of the things that you've dived into in Expansive CEO since, coming in and being like, oh, well, what about this? And what about that? And you're not doing these things. And what about, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, go ahead. That's amazing. Like, those are not where my energy is all lit up. But for you, those are the places where it's like, oh, this is where it's hitting. And we have seen some really, really interesting and incredible results from some of those things where you were just like, yeah, I'm going to dive in. And so from a again, from a business perspective, when we pull it back in, those are that's part of the work. It doesn't feel it feels maybe circuitous a little bit, but it's like it's so much about that's part of regulating your nervous system too, right? Is remembering those times where it was good.
Yes.
Remembering those times where you have been um, in that peace, satisfaction, surprise, success, and being able to then map the feeling onto where does it feel like that in your business,
Yes. And I do want to call, I know we get very generator heavy because we're both generators, and that's the experience that
right?
that's the experience that we have. Also, most of us are generators. However, just calling attention to what it might feel like, as for any projector or manifester, I'll focus there specifically. For a reflector, your experience is going to be very different, and none of us energy, who are directed by the sun can really experience what you experience because you're directed by the moon. So it's totally apples to oranges, right? But for the projectors out there, it might be experiences where the success isn't about what you achieved, though before you have rooted through it, maybe it felt like because of what you achieved. But really, the success will be more about your connection and guidance of somebody else. And in particularly in the moments where you didn't necessarily, quote unquote, do anything to make that connection happen. It was just one of those kind of organic moments where it was an opportunity that you were extended an invitation, whether you recognize that or not. And the invitation could just be, hey, what are your thoughts? Or hey, what do you see? That's a simple example of an invitation. But that's where your success is more about the connection to the other person and the guidance of their energy, regardless of where it actually ended up or whatever the result was. And then for a manifester, the piece is more about creating an initiation because it was correct for you through your own inner authority. And whomever you were around when you said or what you were going to do or not do, picked that, quote unquote, picked it up from their own strategy and authority and was like, oh yeah, feels like something I want to do, or that feels correct for me. Because the impact isn't about the result that comes. The impact also isn't something that you can predict. The impact is however the people that you've said or initiated among did their own thing through their own energy. And then you can see what the impact is based on whatever it is that you initiated. And so just thinking, like, if you're sitting here, listener, through that, and you're like, well, I'm not a generator. I don't know what it feels like to be satisfied. No, of course you don't. Because, you probably know what it's like to feel satisfied. But that's not where your energy is. If you're sitting here thinking through what's an experience for me? Use that as your baseline and determine, hey, where have I felt those things in my life? And then as a reflector of recognizing, for you, maybe the starting point is more about where are the environments that I've felt really good in. And I don't know how to explain this because obviously I'm not a reflector, but I do have an undefined G. Your listener, if you want to take a moment and pause, your G center is the diamond in the middle of your chart. And again, I'm not a reflector, but I do have an undefined G. So there are times now that I understand what that really means, that place is really important for me. And that as a reflector, I can only describe it as if you walk into a place and it just doesn't feel right. Your body will tell you that it's like, ugh. It'll almost like be like, ugh, this is not good. And you just, for me as a generator, it feels like my energy just pulls away from the place. It's just like, nope, not going in there. Doesn't feel good. That may or may not be what it feels like for a reflector, but in your instance of where you felt surprise is to think about the instances in your life where you've been in the right environment. You can probably do a little bit better job of recognizing what a quote unquote right environment now, what a right environment is now, looking back, and then you can apply it to kind of what in alignment, how you do that moving forward. So just calling out that, yes, sorry guys, we are real generator heavy. But those are starting points for the other types.
Love that. I love that. Let's go on to the money side of alignment, because so energy again, I do believe that energy is the most important factor, and then we build time and money to support that, and then that means we need to understand aligning your money, what that means. So aligning your money is all about understanding what you're spending your money on first, right? And we do that in discovery. And that's the logical side. Where is money going out? What is it? What is it doing? And then determining how you feel. This is the other really important part, how you feel about what you're spending your money on. That's the emotional side, the intuition side. And with that, not just what you're spending your money on, but what you're not spending your money on. And so those questions, what am I spending money on that I don't love doing or having? What have I been resisting spending money? This is the other side. What have I been resisting spending money on that I deeply desire? Or this is the last one. What have I been resisting spending money on that I know will bring more ease or flow into my life? And so in that exploration, for some people, um, I use a car example a lot, right? For some people, having a fancy car means absolutely nothing to them. And if they feel pressured either by society or by a spouse or whatever, like, we need to have this fancy car, or you should have this fancy car. And let's say it has a payment that's way out of your comfort zone, but you're like, oh, I guess I have to. That's a thing. That would be a part where it's like, that's out of alignment for you, right? If your main purpose is, you know what, I just want a car that's going to be safe and get me from A to B, and I don't need it to cost $80,000. I use that because that's what a lot of SUVs cost nowadays. It's insane.
Ugh.
It's so crazy. Cars have gone up a lot in the last 5 years. Um, but so what does alignment look like there? All right, maybe it is a certified pre-owned safe SUV, right? That's 5 or 6 years old, and it costs literally half or less. Right? There are ways to fulfill that need that you have of having a safe, reliable car that isn't the most expensive car on the block. On the other hand, if you do really enjoy having a nice car, say you drive a lot and you spend a lot of time in the car and you want that to be, realtors come to mind actually for this because realtors freaking drive everywhere,
Yeah.
always in the car. If that's a place where you spend a lot of your time and you want it to feel comfortable and a little bougie, then maybe that is the right move for you, right? Maybe you do want the Mercedes, you do want the fancy car, whatever that is for you. There's no shame or guilt or wrong making around that. But we want to understand, does that actually matter to you? Same with housing, right? Like, what kind of house or what kind of office or what, like, that's a question that I've talked with people about a lot, is having an office. Like, God, this office space costs a lot and I don't know if I need to be spending that much. Like, well, why are you there? Why are you in that particular space? What does it mean? What does it bring you? What is it? And if that's one of your biggest expenses and you don't want it, you don't need it, and it's for optics, that's a place where we probably need to look and see if that's something that's actually correct for you to be spending your money on. And so those are, that's a really important aspect. The other side of that, what are you not spending money on? What are you resisting spending money on? That's a place where, let's say you've got the office space that, and maybe it's even like a co-working space for a lot of people who work at home and have a co-working space, right? Um, and they're not actually using it. Let's say you're paying $600 a month for a co-working space and you're using it once a week. You're not using it as much as you thought you would. You thought you would need a place to meet people in person, and they just really don't wanna meet in person. Everyone just wants to meet on Zoom. That's my every once in a while, people wanna meet in person. It's so rare, though. Everyone just wants to meet on
Mhm.
Zoom. But you're spending $600 a month on this co-working space. Well, at home, you have been, like me, like, desperate for some help with housekeeping, and that's gonna be $300 a month. But you haven't been spending that $300 a month because you're like, I don't know. I don't know if I should be doing that. I can do the cleaning, yada, 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 whatever, but it doesn't like I feel resentful every time I'm sitting there doing it. All right, well, it's not even a matter of like, oh, well, I don't know if I should be spending that. What if you cut out the co-working space that you're not using for $600? You hire the housekeeper for $300, you just gained $300 in your budget. And you've actually aligned your money to not be going out to a thing that doesn't actually help or serve you, and you're spending money on something that actually does help and serve you, and it with better results. And that aspect of aligning your money, like that's just one small example. We do that through your whole budget. What's coming up for you with that one, Lauren?
Well, again, to your point, it's all rooted in energy, right? Is that energy becomes the starting point of all of this, and recognizing that there are certain aspects in your design that kind of pinpoint or can I shouldn't say pinpoint, can point to some of your spending habits, or I should say not the spending, the thoughts around the spending habits is really kind of what I mean. So, for example, right? uh, I think again, I'm going to go back to generators. Oftentimes it's, well, I can do it,
Mhm.
therefore I should do it. Like the idea of cleaning your house or mowing the lawn or I don't know. Pick one, right? The quote unquote simple things in your life. There's like, well, I mean, I have the energy for it, so I should just do it. Therefore, I don't need to spend money on it. And da 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 da. It all goes back to type. Well, what brings you satisfaction? If you're a generator, if cleaning your house does not bring you satisfaction, yes, you can physically clean your house. We all know how to take up a rag and spray some shit on a counter and wipe it down. But if that doesn't bring you satisfaction, and to your point, there are other areas in your budget or in your life that also not bringing satisfaction, right? That idea of, well, the co-working space, I mean, it'll get me, maybe I can meet people, or maybe that one person that I meet randomly there will be the opportunity I'm looking for, and da 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 da, da, right? That goes back to, are you forcing a result? Are you being too attached to an outcome?
Mhm.
Spending this money because you think it's what you should do, or everybody tells you that will bring you all these opportunities. Well, if it's not, well, then how do you switch the narrative? How do you say, hey, neither of these things bring me satisfaction. I'm spending one and it's getting me nothing. I'm spending all my energy on something that, yes, it gives me a clean house, but I feel like it gives me nothing. What if you just switch to your point? What if you just realigned the expenses so that you can bring about satisfaction in your life in a different way? Just because you can do it doesn't mean you have to. And I have people all the time who's like, well, just have your sons mow your lawn. I'm like, I'm not going to have my sons mow my lawn. How to mow my lawn. Fun fact, listener, never learned how to mow my lawn. My dad always took care of the lawn growing up. He never let us go out there and do anything. So I have a mission in my life that I will never learn how to cut my grass.
I never have
So
either. I'm 41. I've never once mowed a lawn. Never, and I won't.
no, I mean, I think I know how to turn it on. I can't be sure, right? I'm 44, so I'm 3 years ahead of you. I don't know how to do it. But, those are the things that I'm willing to spend my money on because it brings me one, it has to be done. And two, it brings me satisfaction that one, I don't have to do it. And two, I don't have to have a fight with my kids to go do it. Sort of thing. So it's again, it all comes back to energy, and also looking at, this is where I would also call out anybody who has an undefined heart center. So, listener, take a pause. If the small triangle to the kind of like the center right of your chart is open or undefined, i.e., not colored in, we get caught up if we are living through a not self theme of an open heart center. We're gonna be we're gonna love to spend money.
Mm.
We're going to be conditioned to love to spend money when really that could be correct. But I will say, as somebody who has a completely open ego center, I don't really love spending money. I can enjoy spending money, but I also love not. And I recognize that when I am around people who I know have an undefined, or I'm sorry, when they have a defined heart or ego center, I'm like, yep, let's make it rain. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Want this thing? I live a very minimalist life because I hate shit around. Like if I could live in a cardboard box and be fine, that'd be great. But like, I just actually don't like things. I don't like material things. Now, well, I tend to treat myself when I spend my money. It's more about what are the things that allow me to feel good, and most of the time, that's more like experiences or things like that. But recognizing that oftentimes, like some of your spending habits can be a matter of conditioning based on your energy.
Oh, so yeah, that's so interesting. And I've noticed too for me that the things that I like severely procrastinate on, I whether it's, something around cleaning or organizing or like that's another thing that really points to something that I really don't want to do. And that, again, I take that just as information, or I'll know like I'm doing anything else. Just literally finding anything else to do other than that thing. And this could be in my business as well, right? Like there's a knowing that this thing needs to get done. And my energy is literally like going out sideways to do anything but that. And okay, so what do we do with that? Sometimes you have to do the thing. Right. And this is where, again, in the real world of how things actually work, you have to do that thing. And that's where, we can have strategies of like, okay, accountability, we can like get it done. But there is, when you understand it, when you're aware of it, when you can read your own energy, that's where you can make the plan. Again, this is all the whole program. This is a huge piece of it. How can you recognize those places so that even if you are the one who has to do it right now, you can make a plan to be that you don't have to do that thing eventually. Like you can actually take steps. You can recognize, oh, I am like procrastinating everywhere to not, you know, do my social media or to not do a newsletter or to not, um, do some portion of the process of your particular work. Let's say you're a lawyer and it has to be, some sort of intake stuff. Okay, well, what's the process then? What's it going to take for you to be able to? We're getting into the time questions now, actually. I didn't even, we moved right into it and I didn't even say it. We're into the time questions now. So let's say you are a lawyer, you own your own firm. You haven't really hired, let's say, a paralegal yet, and you're doing all the intake and you're answering all the phone calls and you're doing all the admin and you're doing the legal work. That gets exhausting. As you start, yes, you got to do the stuff. But again, we're going to align the time, we're going to align the money. We're going to understand what are those pieces of your energy that are like, "Oh, I just want to like crawl under my desk when I have, 7 intakes to do." Okay, what does it take to get a paralegal? What does it take? How much money is it gonna cost? Who do you have to talk to? Are there places where you can, um, find people that can help you get a paralegal? What is it gonna take to get you that person? Does it have to be a paralegal? Can it be an admin? Right? So let's talk about the different options and then put that out there as, all right, so I need to be able to pay this person. Let's say it does have to be a paralegal. and you want to be able to pay them $5,000 a month. That's probably a little bit high, but we're going to just say we want to be able to pay them $5,000 a month. All right, well, they're going to be a W-2 employee. We need to add a little bit onto that. We can account for employee taxes and all of the things that you have to account for. So you're going to need another, we'll say $7,500 a month in your budget, or carve out $7,500 a month from the budget in order to be able to support that, which is then what is that going to do? It's going to take all of that off your plate so that you can do the actual legal work. And if you're really good at what you're doing, then you're going to be bringing in more. So that person can keep doing the intakes, keep doing all the stuff that they need to do, keep doing the support work. And you can do more of, again, what your energy is actually here to do. If you're a litigator and you're like, I am bomb ass litigator in court, let's get you in court more, right? Let's do that. If you are an estate planning attorney and you're like, I am a freaking genius in the room with my clients with complicated estate situations, let's get you in the room with those clients more. Let's not have you doing the stuff that is, again, the admin work.
Yes.
All of that is so important. So aligning your time then is the money, the way that it flows is that really the money is in support of the time, is in support of the energy, right? That's where it goes when it's working the best, I'm going to say. And until when you still have to do everything, when you don't have enough, before the money is abundant enough to support all of those things, you do have to spend more time.
Yes.
On things that are not in your highest energy.
Right.
It just is. But again, if we can at least make the roadmap, if that's Denver to Portland, right? And in Portland, you are just the badass litigator in the courtroom as much as possible. That's part of the roadmap. How do we get you to that place? And with time, that's one of the big questions. What have I been resisting spending money on that would give me back more of my time? And it's really, really beautiful to this is one of the things that gives me really great satisfaction in business, is to be able to ask these questions, to be able to sit with people and see the realization on their face, or see them like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I've never thought about that before." That's one of my favorite, things ever, is when someone says, "No one has ever asked me that before." And that, talk about satisfaction. I'm like, I feel so much satisfaction from that, from being able to help someone have that shift. And also talk about like, not like, I don't like, the outcome has nothing to do with me. Like, it's your realization. But I feel so satisfied. I feel so fulfilled by having been able to like, to nudge someone to think in a different way. And that aspect of, yeah, like what is the thing? What's the thing that fires you up, that you love doing, that no one does better than you? Like, put you up against frickin' anybody and you're gonna blow it out of the water. And you know it. We're not striving to be humble here, by the way.
Not for you anyway. Maybe for us, like in and of ourselves, but not for you. We're gonna tote you or tout you, whatever the word I'm looking for is.
Gas you up.
Yes.
Yes, that's what we wanna know, because again, we got it. We have to. Um, it is in your highest benefit to be spending as much of your time in those places as possible. And it's for the benefit of the people you are serving. It's for the benefit of the impact you want to make. It's not selfish. It's not hiring a housekeeper is not selfish. You know what that person is doing? Something that they want to do. and they're getting paid for it. Your money is literally flowing through the economy, flowing to someone else who is then able to pay their bills, doing something that they feel satisfied with. Mo- Most people who own their own cleaning business, like honestly, and I've heard this over, they love the process of like, this was dirty, now it's clean. They love that.
Oh, that's me.
Real Monica Geller's out there.
Yes. Sometimes I think I make Monica Geller look dirty. I love you, Monica. You are my inspiration. Uh, I, you know what I love as a part of this process too, and I think it's been a part of my own process. Now, also recognize, listener, I have a lot of logical energy in my design, and that means a very specific thing. And those are things that we'll teach you as we move through these things. But it's what I love to see is someone accepting their position in life. Is that the word I'm looking for? Accepting their placement in life, accepting their contribution in life, because that was one of my biggest lessons through this entire thing. And it has taken me, listener, probably 4 years to truly understand the mechanics of what this really means. I am an individual who's here to correct the collective and support the tribe through transformation. Like was just that's the simplest way to put my energy. And there have been times in my own energy where I come up, and I've described this to Hannah, I like come up against a wall. Like I do things and then it's like all of a sudden it's like, well, I can't. My energy doesn't want to move forward anymore. And as a generator, I always, while I've known this about myself, I've never been able to put it into words until I learned human design. And there's a reason for that in my energy. I am here my entire life. I always wanted to be number one, the top dog, the lead, the this, the that. Like, let me just sit on top of the pyramid, and not that about taking anybody down. It was more of like, I need to prove my worth, so I've got to be on top kind of thing. And because if you know me, I'm like most people's biggest cheerleaders. Now there are people that I'm just like, no, we're not going to deal with you. But for the most part, I'm people's biggest cheerleader. And I want to see them succeed. And it's taken me a long time to recognize that I'm actually not, it's not always correct for me to be on top. It's not always correct for me to be number one. That actually my energy benefits from being behind the scenes and actually being kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, Hannah? It's my 53. Like it needs to be ignited by somebody else. It needs to be pushed by somebody else or a collection of other people. That one, I'm not here to do things by myself. And coming to this realization of, God, I really am satisfied that when it's in the best interest of me, and if you saw my design, you'd understand where I'm coming from this, but when it's in the best interest of me, it really is in the best interest of the collective and the tribe to move forward and push forward. But that I also need, it's more correct for me to be behind the scenes, and just the acceptance of that was just like, oh my God, I don't have to do all the shit that like I'm forcing myself to do in an effort to be productive. And it's so draining, but it's like, no, that's what I have to do that's what as a business owner, I have to do. And it's like, let's take a 20.
Mhm.
Right. And accepting my position as it's really fun to be in a support role.
Yeah.
It's really satisfactory for me to look at systems and be like, oh, I see what's not working. Let's try this. And let's keep moving up the ladder. We're moving up the ladder together. This is what we do. And so I think what I love about this work is like looking at someone and be like, put down the rocks. Like just you can put them down one by one if you want, if that's more, helpful for you, or just fucking let them all go at one time. And just recognizing that the rocks that you think you desperately need to hold on to are actually what's dragging you down. That's why that's why they're heavy. And what's most satisfactory for me is like watching someone be like, oh, Well, thank God you told me because I've always known, but I just needed someone just to say it.
Little bit of validation so that I can then validate myself. Yes.
That is the most is and that's part of the journey too, and I'm not saying that's easy. Like, I'm not saying that getting to the point of being in a support role was easy for me because I spent my whole life, "No, you gotta be number 1, you gotta do this, you gotta prove, you got"
You
but the
gotta win.
moment that I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I gotta win," even though as a swimmer you lose a lot more than you win, but anyway, it's fine. As most athletes lose more than they win, but that's a whole 'nother story for a whole 'nother day. But, you know, finally getting to the point of, "Oh, I don't have to keep wearing this armor anymore. I get to just be me in my space and I get to make this very specific contribution to my business, to the people in my life, to the world as a whole, and I only have this little piece and I only have to worry about this little piece." And because I'm a puzzle piece, I have all these hooks or what's the word, like cutouts for other people to fill their contribution and do their thing. Because I always say, the more yeses I give that are outside of what I truly want to do, I'm taking those yeses away from somebody else and actually myself. I'm taking my energy away from myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Every yes that is not a full yes, that was actually a no. When you say yes to those things, you are saying no to something else that was more aligned because you
Yes.
don't have the time or energy
Nope.
because you're giving it away to things that are not a full yes.
Yes. And if you're a generator, you're going to whore your energy out. And if you're a conditioned manifestor, projector, or reflector, you're also going to whore your energy out because generators are whoring their energy out.
We're just creating a bad cycle.
We are. I always say it is, I'm saying this in a very empowering way. The weight of the world is on a generator's shoulder.
Mm.
Really an emotional generator's shoulder, but
Because they're the most common.
well, that and they have the most influence on productivity and the emotions of the world.
Mm. All right, my emotional generators, we gotta heal it. We gotta go.
Yes. Because if you look at the whole thing, I mean, if an entire human design chart is really actually emotional manifesting generators, because an entire human design chart is an emotional manifesting generator. If it's all filled in, it's an
Oh,
emotional.
yep, that's true. Well, I've got one of those, my oldest. It's an emotional man-gen.
Same,
Yeah, oh, that's
same.
right. Yep, yep. So, okay, well, we have walked through alignment today, the whole thing, aligning your time, aligning your money in service to your greatest energy, um, and it's so much fun, truly, it really is, and it's oh my gosh, it's the work that will help you get unstuck.
Yes.
It really will. It's so important. So if this part of the process has sparked you to want to learn more, again, like go to the links in the show notes here. Um, jump on a calendar. I would love to talk to you about the program. It's $3,999, just under $4,000 for the 6-week live cohort. Super excited about that one. You get a full human design reading with Lauren. You get a full one-on-one integration session with me, and all of the weeks are live. And the material takes a little bit of time. It does take some time to go through the material, but we have a lot of time to work together to get to know people. So you'll get to know like the other people in the cohort. You'll actually get to know them pretty well. You'll get to understand their business. They'll understand yours. We'll be working on this together. So it's not just here, come get the information, leave. It's come get the information, ask your questions, talk to your peers, understand like actually help each other along the way as well as, receive that support live from me and Lauren. We're so excited. We're so excited for this. Um, yeah, it's going to be such a powerful container And we're really like seeing like how often are we going to do this? How, what's the interest? Again, we're responders. We're going to respond to what you need, what people want, what's working, what's not working. That is how our energy flows, is to really respond to what we're getting from the participants. So anything else? I want to wrap it up there. I want to tease one more thing because I got a really, really powerful question from one of my very best friends about generators being here to respond. She's a generator and she's having the hardest time around wrapping her mind around. Yeah, she's got defined,
Mind.
very,
Yep.
very defined mind. She's like, how come I'm not allowed to act from my inspiration? I'm like, ooh, that is a really, really good point. We talked through it a little bit, but I'm gonna tease. We're gonna put this on YouTube. It'll be a little bonus. But we're gonna record about that. Put a little bonus on YouTube around it. Um, yeah, so go check that out as well. Lauren, anything else from you before we wrap up today?
Um, no, I'm now now obsessed with that question. Um,
Just
so
give
I
up.
lost all train of thought, like, my mind was like, "Okay, we're ready to go." No, just recognizing that it's super excited about this program, and not only are we generators, we're also non-emotional generators, so in a way, also spontaneous generators, so whatever is, like, in the moment of being able to address what comes up, how we work through it, and recognizing that, we aren't stodgy and fixed in how we go through this. We have a structure and we have our own way of doing it, but recognizing that we come to the table with a structure, but recognizing that you come to the table with your own energy and structure and how we meet those two things.
Hmm. Really good at it. Really good at holding that space. Thank you so much, friends. Go check out our YouTube channel. Check out the links below. Jump on my calendar if you want to talk about the program. I'd love to talk to you more about it. We'll do a quick, just a quick call and all about clarity. I'm not here to sell or push. If anyone has ever been on a sales call with me, I'm zero, like the least pushy salesperson you'll ever meet. Because that's not how we're meant to make
Nope.
decisions. So we honor your decision making process, even from the very first moment that we meet you. I would love to talk to you about it. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you can always send them to Lauren at expansiveceo.com. If you want us to talk about stuff, go check out the YouTube channel, check out the program, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, friends.